Talking about, technology and software packages, this is something that there's a few things that I have to say on this subject is how badly those implementation projects can go really, really wrong.
Really badly.
Really wrong. And so I do hear and I do feel the trepidation in owner managers when you say, this program really needs to move, and they're almost like, do anything else to my business, but don't make me move accounting packages, please don't do it. And actually, for a lot of my clients, I have ripped things out and put new things in and replaced them with different packages. And I do think Xero is great. But I also think SAP B1 is really good.
Yeah, especially I've not really used that. I only to pull information out.
Yeah, but I think if you're in a manufacturing, if you're in a distribution business, or if you're in something where you've got a lot of volume-based products, the inventory management system in it is amazing. And I think what sometimes happens is that, my general observations are the project always seems to land with the finance person. And for me, depending on the type of finance person you've got really does depend on how well that project is going to go.
Yeah.
Because
a finance person might not always be an IT. They're not an IT specialist, are they? You need some of that.
And also, if they're not a visionary either, so many times I've seen a business move from one package to the other, and they've literally recreated the old package in the new package.
Yeah, and not thought about how can we do it better.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no sitting there and going, actually, let's start at the very end of the journey, right? How do we want our management accounts packs to be presented?
Yeah.
How are we going to measure things in our business? And how do we see that as an end result and then work backwards?
Yeah. I think, like you say about the visionary, it's really important because otherwise you're just going to replicate bad onto something new, aren't you, basically, and have something else like that.
And there's a great saying, you put shit in, you're going to get shit out.
Yeah, very true.
And I think people misunderstand actually how much is involved in moving packages, because I also think it's a really great time to declutter as well. Great. So if you've got, archived product numbers, archived customers, suppliers, GL codes that was something very specific, you
don't need all of that.
You don't need all of that. Exactly. It's a whole new dawn.
Yeah, exactly. It's a new opportunity, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think sometimes if you're thinking about changing the IT package, you actually have to talk to the finance department and go to them, is the finance department the right people to actually lead some of these conversations? Because quite a lot of the time, I see this, one of the joys of moving packages is you can recreate the chart of accounts.
Yeah.
And you can make that as expansive or as concise as your business needs it to be. And if you give that to somebody that is not visionary, someone that doesn't want to do the project, they will just create the same set of chart accounts because when they go to the new system, they'll know where everything is.
Yeah, exactly that. I can use the same code.
Exactly. Everything's going to be the same, but in something different. And then you almost want to say, so what is the benefit of doing this? So sometimes I do get the impression that owners are like, well, it's an accounts package, so the accounts department are the rightful owners of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's not necessarily always true.
Or at least maybe needs to be overseen or have input from someone else. Probably.
Exactly.
It's a bit of a collaboration, I would think.
Exactly. And also, how do the other departments work with it as well? Because I think sometimes that gets forgotten about, like, how do other people interact with the accounts department? And how can you, create automation between those departments too? So I see that happen quite a lot, and I actually see lots of money get wasted because actually they decide that they're going to move to a package. They haven't investigated it, but they haven't done a scope for themselves. Like, what is it we need? What is it we want our data to do?
Yeah.
So I see so many projects go wrong.
Yeah.
I see a lot of money get wasted, and then they end up with an end result that they're not happy with either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a good place to be in when you put all that time and effort into moving to something. And if it's done well, it can be so beneficial.
Yeah.
Such a saving for a business in terms of labour. That's the thing I see most is just the complete reduction in your labour time.
Yes.
Spent on doing just that sort of basic bookkeeping element of it.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, it should free that person up to think a bit more, to do other tasks, which are more meaningful and more beneficial for the company.
Because every finance department has that project that never gets done. There's always that.
For a quiet day.
Exactly. when it's not audit or month. Maybe week 3 of the calendar month
never comes.
No. And I think that's also interesting that it like you said, it is interesting when you introduce these new ideas to the finance team, how many of them are just like eager beavers and the rest of them are like, well, if we just keep doing our work and make excuses, this will never happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's that fear change, isn't it?
It really is.
We do see that a lot, I think. And as you say, often the business owner is an entrepreneur. They love change. They love ideas. They love all of that. But the people working for them who are implementing everything don't necessarily like change. And people in general don't often like change. But I think it's often how it's kind of put to them. So maybe it's not always put across in the right way.
Yeah, sometimes it's not sold right.
Not sold right. Yeah, exactly. They're just seeing it as change and they're not understanding the benefits that change is actually going to bring to them.
And I know we've spoken a lot about, how accounts people have to evolve into speaking human.
Yeah.
But equally, I think there is a lesson to be learnt for entrepreneurs equally, that if accounts people were natural entrepreneurs, they wouldn't be sat in your offices plugging away and putting data into your system.
That's true.
So there has to be also, I think, a give and take in that relationship, that actually you might have some people in your business that aren't pro change and actually like things to stay the same.
Could be a little bit understanding.
And there has to be, I think just a little give, not too much, so that it gets taken advantage of.
I get that, babe. A little bit of understanding, even if it's just the way things are approached, a little bit more sensitively, perhaps than chucking something at people and saying this is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's the way it's put across to people, isn't it?
Yeah. And my experience of entrepreneurs is they're incredibly creative individuals. They're very ideas driven. They're very strategic and blue sky thinkers.
Yeah.
Yet they often lack the detail. And I think also when you're dealing with finance people, they're all about the detail.
Yeah, exactly. You have got two ends of it.
Exactly. And I think it's about finding that you just saying pick a new accounts package, saying that to some finance people are like, well, what? What do you need? I need all this data before I can even think about that.
Yeah.
So I see that mismatch quite a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.